Hello, in this video we're going to be talking neurotransmitters, so let's not waste any of your time. Let's get right to it. Now when we're talking neurotransmitters, we want to right off the bat set the stage of what we're talking about. But we're talking amino acids put together in a particular way to form the neurotransmitters. So obviously their amino acids are their monomers. That makes them in the protein class. And as you can see, there's over 100 of them. But again, it's a collection of amino acids put together in a particular manner. And we're going to look at some, and there are strings of amino acids, so you can see just what we're talking about there. But different classes, categories, the acetylcholines, that's the ACHs that you will see from now on. That's a particular class. The GABAs, the aspartates, the glutamates, those are all different types of neurotransmitters. Now, one of the groups, the monoamines, these are formed with the NH2 functional group. When we in your biology class, when you looked at proteins, hopefully you talked about the R group, if you know what that is. But if not, we'll talk about it in class individually. But that R group on a protein is what determines the function of the amino acid. So anyway, you get those groups, and in some cases you get the COO group, and that's removed, and the NH2 is placed on there, and we'll look at these. But some of the major ones, you can see there: epinephrine, norepinephrine, dopamine, histamine, serotonin. All those are super important neurotransmitters. But again, the idea with neurotransmitters, as we looked at in synapse, is these are released at the end of the axon, and that's what signals the next neuron what the message is. And so let's look at some examples of neurotransmitters. Alright, and again, it's a fairly small diagram, but again, this will be in the PowerPoint and certainly in the book as well. But starting to the far left, the acetylcholines, the ACHs, you can see their chemical structure, and you can see that on the far right, they've got the COO and an H wrapped around that end carbon there, and that's the group that's removed to make the monoamines, which are in the middle there. And you can see that histamine, serotonin, dopamine, norepinephrine, they all have that NH2 at the very end where that C OOH was. But in epinephrine, it's broken up a little bit. You can see at the end is a CH2, and the end is, or the N is one set over as far as that. But what I was referring to earlier, the diagram to the far right, the portion of the diagram to the far right, the one right beside me, shows you the strings of amino acids. Each one of those little circles has a abbreviated name of the amino acid. So neurotransmitters are simply amino acids put together in a specific way to make that particular neurotransmitter. And of course, if you can, when amino acids are put together, that's called a peptide, which is what makes the protein. And so these are peptides, but they're referred to as neuropeptides because they're a part of the neurotransmitter groups. You can see that chain of these, anywhere from 2 to 40 amino acids long, is what makes them up. And neuropeptides have a much longer lasting effect, as you can see. They also play a part in digestion and hormones, and they just have quite a diverse characteristics and functions. Alright, so speaking of functions, when a synapse is occurring, okay, neurotransmitters obviously play a big role in that because they're what's released, but they are made or built in the presynaptic neuron, and then they're released by that same neuron, and then on the postsynaptic neuron there are particular receptors, and anytime you're going to enter a cell, through its membrane, one of the things that is stressed when you're in your biology classes talking about those situations with the membranes is that they are specific protein receptors for specific ones, and neurotransmitters are no different. They have certain ones that they go to and they bind to those, and of course once that happens, then they're going to alter that cell as far as its action and the shape, and as it passes that signal on down the road. Alright, so looking at some specific neurotransmitters, we mentioned the acetylcholines, the ACHs. Their focus is getting skeletal muscles to work. Okay, they can also do some inhibiting cardiac muscle, and obviously that doesn't mean to stop the cardiac muscle from working. We wouldn't want that. But we mentioned in our sympathetic, parasympathetic divisions of the PNS to slow it down. The ACHs can be part of that slows down the heartbeat. Glycine, inhibitory neuron of the brain. Again, we're not wanting it to stop. Obviously, that's not the case. But maybe slow down, wind down, especially when you're asleep and resting and things like that. Alright, some other neurotransmitters, norepinephrine, epinephrine, kind of do similar things. They can speed up the heart muscles. They can either excite or inhibit, other smooth muscles, which are organs and glands and things. Those kinds of stuff. So they can be used to speed them up, slow them down. Well, that's our video over neurotransmitters. When we come back together next time, we're going to be talking about specific synaptic transverses situations. We'll see you then.